Saturday. Christmas comes early.
Unbelievable! Welcome to this incredible scene.
Bills.
To the end zone!
Chargers.
It's a touchdown!
An exclusive NFL game.
That's fantastic!
Live in primetime.
Wow!
Only on Peacock.
With a Christmas gift to their fans.
They're having some fun now.
Bills versus Chargers. Saturday, 7:30 Eastern. Exclusively on Peacock.
This episode is brought to you by Google Pixel, the official fan phone of the NBA and WNBA. The new Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro are built different. How? Take the Audio Magic Eraser tool. It helps block out distracting crowd noise so your play-by-play commentary sounds crystal clear. The only phone engineered by Google brings out the audio you care about so your videos sound as crisp as they look. Learn more at googlestore.com/pixelnba. Audio Magic Eraser requires Google Photos app. May not work on all audio elements.
This episode is brought to you by Columbia Sportswear. It's snowing again, and that wind chill is killer. But you're not worried about that because you shop the Omni Heat Infinity Collection. It's warmth perfected with tiny gold dots that reflect your body heat inside and protect you from the cold outside. No snow or chilly temps can stop you now. Go out anyway. Shop the Omni Heat Infinity Collection now at Columbia.com/infinity.
Introducing Royal Caribbean's newest ship, Icon of the Seas, the ultimate family vacation. The ultimate 6 slides, 8 neighborhoods, 0 compromise vacation. The ultimate never done that, can't wait to do it vacation. The ultimate chillin' by a different pool every day of the week vacation. This is the Icon of Vacations. Icon of the Seas, arriving in 2024. Book today. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
Anything to shake this, but I'm in my football team's got me drinking.
Back at it again with another shade of blue. I am David Greenwald. I'm here with Robert Rusert, Thad Bell. Cody might be dead. We've been trying to text him, call him, Slack him. I sent carrier pigeons to his house. He's not answering. So we've decided to roll without Cody Bradley, which is a shame because he's got the media game goal all queued up all the time, and that will be relevant towards the end of this pod. But guys, oh, sorry, go ahead, Thad.
I just went, eh.
Yeah, he didn't answer his Hogwarts letter either, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, well, hopefully Cody's alive. If not, you guys will have a new host on the Shades of Blue every week. So let's talk about Sporting Kansas City, Houston Dynamo, 2-2 draw. Thad, start us off.
Disappointing the way that ended, for damn sure. I was really hoping to pull 3 points out of it. I don't know. What about you guys?
Robert, what do you think?
Well, Jerry Seinfeld, who Cody is a fan of, has this thing that he does for the dinner check. So he lifts up the dinner check, bulges his eyes out, and then calmly looks back at the person he's buying dinner for. That's kind of how the end of that game was. It's like, what? How could this happen twice in stoppage time, right, guys?
You know, it's disappointing because we had the lead twice, but it's tough to say it's not a deserved result for Houston. I mean, I feel like they pretty well controlled the game. They had so many more shots than we did. A lot of it was like a very Sporting KC-esque type thing of a lot of shots from distance that didn't really have a ton of hopes for going in. But, you know, it's tough to say Houston didn't deserve something out of that game. And it was, you know, Sporting was just hanging on for dear life at the end.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. You kind of alluded to some of the offensive stats for Sporting. Breaks down like this: shots for Houston, 19. Sporting had 5. Possession was Houston, 59%. Shots on goal, 6 to Houston, 3 for us. And then XG, 2.2 for them, 1 for us. But, I mean, we are a better team with Radoya at the 6. I think that's pretty clear. Shallowy was completely absent last night. And, you know, gosh, guys, I love Johnny Russell, but he's just not been the player that he's been in the past. So it was Gadi and Pulido, and, of course, they shined in moments. And just didn't have enough of those moments.
Yeah, and even then our XG is skewed because we had a penalty kick, right? I was surprised at how low Pulido's first goal was scored as XG. I think Apple had it at halftime as 0.27.
Right, yeah.
Which was surprising because it was a wide open look. He had to kind of chip the keeper, but it was a pretty clean look on goal inside the box.
So you would finish that, David, with regularity?
Would I?
Yeah.
Well, since I didn't get an invite to the media game, you will never know. But so the answer is yes. Yes, I would.
I think we know.
I would. And it's Schrodinger's cat. You won't ever find out. That I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
Oh, I don't know now. But no, I think we know whether you would finish that, because if you could finish that, you would already be playing.
In the media game?
Yeah, it wasn't an easy game.
Somewhere else.
Well, I was a baseball player, not a soccer player, so that has a lot to do with it as well.
But it's not as easy to finish as what you know.
Sure. But if you're a professional soccer player, that's and you're a starting striker, that's a shot that should be finished 9 out of 10 times.
I think you overestimate that, but yeah, that's fine.
If you're a designated player striker in this league, you should finish that.
Right. Do these XG guys have this sheet? Okay, if it's Alan Pulido, add this amount. If it's, this person, reduce it by that amount. Kyrie Shelton, perhaps. I don't know. Do they have that sheet? I don't know.
I'll tell you that
doesn't come into play.
That goal was class. That goal was class. It was he did a great job of staying on side. Gadi fed him perfectly. I mean, that was pretty.
And the two goals in the first half essentially were very pretty goals. Got to give Houston credit. That passing was really well done.
It really was. It's interesting to me because Ben Olsen, when he was in DC, got a lot of stick for being extremely conservative, playing really ugly, ugly soccer, and got kind of rightfully fired for it. And this Houston team looks like they're really humming. They played really, really nice attacking soccer last night, and they've had a pretty good season. So it's interesting to see how different Benny ball is. And especially, our friend Paulo Nagamura had really terrible results with Houston as well. So his ability to kind of turn that team around and not a long time is nice to see, I suppose. It's good to have rivals.
I give Aurelian Collin credit for that.
Do you think that he trains in like those really tight cutoff shorts like he sells and wears?
Yes.
I like the idea of him like out on the training pitch, like talking to guys while wearing like really tight cutoff jorts, or some of the really like I'll call it avant-garde style that he's got. Very French.
It is.
Yeah, it was always very interesting.
If we really want a breakdown of Houston's attack last night, we should ask some of the Sporting back line because they had a pretty good, watch view of what was going on.
Well, yeah. Robert, go explain that more.
Well, that first goal, as pretty as it was, there were a lot of guys standing around watching what was going on. And I don't know whether they were admiring or they were expecting others to do more than they did. But, I looked at it closely and like, okay, so I see an error there by Tommy, watching Voltaire, Leibold, and Rosero, especially Rosero at the end. He's just like, what's going on? So there's a lot of watching going on there. I don't know which you think the second goal was a lot worse defense by Sporting, or?
Yeah, I would. It started with the mistake by Castellano just slipping, giving him a little more room than he needed to, and then the ball just slipped through. That was one where the runners could have been with him better. I give him a little more slack on that first goal because it was just really perfect passing. I mean, you can say they were ball watching, and you're not wrong, but at the same time, when you're flipping from side to side, which way to go, you're ball watching, but you're also having to react to really excellent passing at that moment. So you can see some of the best teams in the world get picked apart like that. Not often, but
Yeah, you mentioned the runner on the second goal. Jake Davis did not have his best game, and Voltaire hands his runner off. The goal scorer. I can't remember his name for Houston, but to Davis, and Davis just doesn't make the effort he needs to make to get goal side, and he ends up scoring the goal. So that was one for sure. But yeah, Rosero was flat-footed too when that deflection came in. You can't really fault him much for that, but we'd like to see him a little more active in his defending.
But as much as the defense and it's it really was Davis, Rosero, and Fontes, and then at the end Castellanos, who combined kind of for the errors that led to the goals. I also think our midfield didn't do them any favors. Eric Tommy had one really terrible giveaway that we were fortunate not to get it punished for, but Remy didn't really control the midfield. Eric Tommy didn't really control the midfield. Gadi was a good outlet when we finally got the ball to him, but he wasn't getting a ton of touches. And I feel like Houston kind of overran us in the midfield. Hector Herrera, Ache, as they kept calling him, I thought really dominated and earned his kind of designated player status, showed why he has that. And when you lose the midfield battle and the defense is constantly under pressure, I think that, there's more opportunities to make errors.
And I think that was somewhat exacerbated by the fact that you've got John East and a fatigued Gadi Kinda playing that right side of midfield, defending late in the game.
And the fatigue has to come into play on several of those guys' parts. It was hot, humid, a little worse than the hottest game I think they've started any game this year. All that thrown in there, still guys working back to fitness and trying to also preserve some fitness for the next game. So what Peter has been criticized in the past for not subbing guys out so they can get rest may have contributed to some of this the last minute game goal also. So,
well, and I'll say, Vermees has been much more willing to sub this year than in years past. I think we had the first sub of the match. Although my feed's a little slow to pull up, but Vermees seems much, much more willing this year to rotate guys in the 60th minute, 65th minute, somewhere in there where you can still get into the flow of the game. A late sub, an 88th minute sub does nothing other than stall and delay, right? So trying to get fresh.
10 minutes of stoppage time.
Well, unless you have 10 minutes of stoppage time. But, the idea of trying to get fresher legs in to actually make an impact in the middle of the game is a nice change to see.
I think part of that is he's always been getting criticism for not making these subs, but when he is looking at players, he's saying that the team is playing the way he wants them to play. Why make the sub? It's not changing anything in his mind. I'm not saying I agree with him all the time in that, but that's a lot what it has been in his, the way he sees things is if the team's playing the way he wants them to, they're doing better than what the guy coming off the bench would do in his mind. He leaves it as it is, unless there's an injury, unless the guy's too fatigued to keep playing. This year, there's been so many injuries and guys coming back off of long-term injuries and all these other factors coming into it. Johnny being out long periods of time twice this year. All these factors that he's making these subs because of those guys. If those guys are all healthy and 90-minute fit, you would not see as many subs. It's not because he's just making more subs. It's just because he's seeing that he needs to in this particular case.
You may see a little more than usual because he'll have the depth that he didn't have last year.
Yes, good point. Yeah. Good point.
Well, I also just fundamentally disagree with that kind of perspective. There's so much data out there that talks about how making subs, like even when the sub window should be, that subs that come on in like the 55th to 65th minute have the most impact in a game. The idea that these guys wear the trackers and stuff, and you can see how well somebody is sprinting, how much ground they're covering. There's so much data that suggests that it's a good idea to sub, even if the team's playing the way you want. Make a like for like, right? So let's say Roger Espinoza starting, and I hate to pick on Roger because he's a really good dude, but like let's say Roger starts, you can tell in like the 60th minute that he's going to start slowing down. That's when you can sub in a guy like Felipe Or if everybody's available, you can sub in Remy, or you can sub in Tommy or Kinda or whoever. But there's so much data that suggests that that's the time to sub. And so the idea that like, well, these 11 guys, they're all playing fine, so I just won't rotate anybody out regardless. And there's also something to be said for adapting to what the other team does. When the other team subs on fresh legs, they're trying to change the game, which means that you have to change how you're playing the game also. If we put on, let's say, another sporting throwback, but let's say Gerso, right, who's super pacey, and you sub in Gerso to run at tired legs on the back line, a good coach will say, oh, well, my right back is tired. Maybe it's time to sub in somebody who's fresh and ready to run. So I just think it's very naive to say, well, the team's playing out the way I want them to, so I just won't bother to ever rotate.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I 100% agree with what he's doing. I'm just trying to explain it.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Well, before we talk, speaking of subs, we have a whole segment that I'd like to talk about Kyrie Shelton. But before we do that, everybody knows I hate the referees. I hate them all. They're all the worst. I do not understand pro. I will say Nima Sagafi had, I think, a perfectly fine game last night. I don't really have any complaints about 10 minutes of stoppage time. Any really of the calls, I thought he called a good game, except how in the world Ferreira can just attack Gadi Kinda, not in the run of play, and get away with a yellow card will always and forever baffle me. To anybody who didn't watch, Kinda was getting ready to restart after the goal. He kind of faked it so that Houston would run off sides. And then Houston's DP Ferreira just sprinted over to the center of the circle and shoved Kinda to the ground. As if to say, I did not like that you tricked me. It was insane. And the commentators were like, oh, well, that's a suspension and a red card, and we'll see him in 4 games.
Right.
He got a yellow. How the hell do you get a yellow? Thad, explain this to me. Defend it. You are a contrarian. Defend this.
Okay. The guy pushed him. That's all he did. He pushed him.
Thad, you're fired. Thad, you're fired. I hate you. Why?
He pushed him. He didn't hit him. He didn't punch him. He didn't strike him to the face, the head, the groin. He pushed the guy. He pushed him over. 5 seconds, 10 seconds later, Logan Ndembe does the same thing to one of their players. He got no card. You should be upset about Logan getting no card also if you're going to go down that path.
I hate you so much.
Well, because you have no argument there, Mr. Lawyer. Come on.
Okay, let me ask you. So you defended.
Was it brutal? No, he pushed him. Was there a lot of force?
You.
No, he ran over, stopped, and pushed him. It was kindergarten stuff, elementary school, man.
All right, so Thad, not contrarian Thad. Let me get your actual opinion. Do you think he deserved a red?
Yes.
It wouldn't have affected the game, right? It's not the difference between Sporting winning and losing, but it's just insane.
You can't have that.
It's insane. It's not even during it's not like somebody had tackled somebody else or there was a scuffle over a throw in or anything, which is where you see a lot of pushing and shoving and some of this stuff. It was just a random attack. It was he might as well have been a pitch invader, what the hell?
I'm good. Well, okay. So if a pitch invader runs on and a player pushes him, is that the player should be arrested at that point? I mean, I hate to get into this legal attack kind of quite thing, right? But in the role of the game, it was not. Just like when you were doing a dog so and things like that, it was not a soccer play. It was not a soccer play. This was not a heated moment where everybody just stood up and kind of did the handbags kind of thing, right? And pushed each other away. He intentionally walked over mad and shoved Gadi. That can't be allowed. It is a little bit amazing also that there was more yellow cards to players not on the field than in that moment.
I want to know what Tim Leibold said. Can you find out for us this week? What did Tim say to get a yellow?
According to Peter, it was not what he said. It was because he encroached onto the field.
Yeah, the MLSsoccer.com says dissent. But...
He dissented onto the field.
Okay, so Cody's not here, and I don't know how he includes breaks and or commercials. So we may or may not be taking a break right now, but let's come back and talk about Kyrie Shelton.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm.
You might say all kinds of stuff when things go wrong, but these are the words you really need to remember. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. They've got options to fit your unique insurance needs, meaning you can talk to your agent to choose the coverage you need, have coverage options to protect the things you value most, file a claim right on the State Farm mobile app, and even reach a real person when you need to talk to someone. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Reboot your credit card with Apple Card, the credit card created by Apple. It gives you unlimited daily cash back that you can now choose to grow in a high-yield savings account that's built right into the Wallet app. Apply for Apple Card now in the Wallet app on iPhone and start growing your daily cash with savings today. Apple Card subject to credit approval. Savings is available to Apple Card owners subject to eligibility requirements. Savings accounts provided by Goldman Sachs Bank USA. Member FDIC. Terms apply.
The holidays are a time to feel and create joy. And what could be more joyous than the look on her face as she unwraps a stunning new jewelry piece from Blue Nile? How about getting 50% off your purchase? Blue Nile offers premium quality, priced below traditional retail. Their online experts are available 24/7 to answer any questions and make sure you've picked the perfect gift. For a limited time, you can get 50% off at BlueNile.com. That's 50% off at BlueNile.com.
Thad, you are Kyrie's biggest fan. You have a Shelton jersey. Why is he still playing? Why is he on the pitch? Why does he get subbed into games?
I have another question.
He's on the roster.
Okay. But I mean, are there not other people who are more capable?
Apparently not in Peter's opinion.
It's Robert. Am I being unreasonable in my expectations for how this team should play? Am I being unfair to Kyrie here?
No, I'm unfair to Kyrie. I think the fact that we're still talking about it is a little unfair to Kyrie. But I mean, even his performance last night, he didn't do what he's supposed to do. I saw some jogging and some half effort in a sense. Yeah, I mean, I don't want him on the field either because I don't think he's a good enough soccer player. But I don't think we need to keep talking about it.
But that's one of David's favorite subjects.
It's what the people want. The people want to know. They're here for the Kyrie banter.
The fact that we're continually baffled doesn't change the fact that it's not going to change.
You're right. I understand why Vermees operates the way he does. He knows what he's getting out of Kyrie. He likes Kyrie. He wants Kyrie to taunt the fans for not liking Kyrie. And I do think it's unfair that Kyrie gets booed onto the pitch. I don't think I was here for that pod, but
yeah.
I was at the game where we booed him onto the pitch, and not me, but I heard the fans boo him onto the field, which I think is not fair. You boo him after the game, but at a certain point, you know what you've got with Kyrie, which is a below average to poor MLS winger. At some point, try Afrifa. Is it Afrifa? How do I pronounce his name? Our draft pick, Steven Afrifa. Steven. You've got this kid, and he may not be any good. We don't know because he doesn't play. But at some point, you have to see if there's anything different that he can offer you than what Kyrie's offering you, right? I mean, because we've got a midweek match, and we need rotation, and I'm willing to bet you both everything in the fine jar. He's not going to see the field. And this is where I'm starting to get very confused with the decision making. Why even bother drafting him if you don't think he's even worth a cameo?
Because you take a risk by drafting. I mean, if you have very few teams, and teams have done it, is just passed. I mean, they've done it especially later in the rounds. But if you get a first or second round, you draft somebody that might have a chance. I've seen him play for SKC too, and he's okay. He's got some speed. He's also been set back by he stayed in school, so he didn't show up until partway through the season. I'm not ruling to write the guy off, but at the moment, is he better than anybody else on the field? No, but if they've played him, they actually played him in Houston there in the Open Cup. He looked dangerous, except he couldn't finish a pretty close shot. I think it was you complaining about that, David.
Sure. But, is he not as capable as Kyrie at this point? Is there anything that Kyrie is offering that he can't potentially offer also?
Yes.
Which is what?
He knows the system well enough to be in those spots where he needs to be, where Frifo would not right now.
But
now,
what good does it do to know the system if you can't control the ball and you can't pass and you can't dribble and you can't shoot?
You're a body in the way. You wouldn't even be there. I mean, you wouldn't obstruct or annoy or pester or mildly draw the attention of an opposing player if you're on the other side of the field from where you should be. I'm not saying a Frifo would be that way, but you're going to get Shelton at least trying to do what Peter wants him to do.
Robert, where do you land on this? Are you on my side or that side?
I think Steven should be given a chance. I think he looked pretty good in his cameo against Vancouver last week. So yeah, I think he should be a choice above Kyrie.
He got a goal for SKC too against Vancouver.
Okay, well, Thad, I don't know if you were paying attention, but that's 2 votes against you to your vote for yourself.
Hey, I don't care.
And Thad doesn't care.
Okay, Robert, I want to talk to you. We've got well over half the season's played, right? I think we're coming up on 2/3 of the season is completed.
Amazing, huh?
Sporting is in 10th place on 25 points. We are, I think, level with Vancouver on points, but behind on goal differential, and they have games in hand. I think everybody has games in hand on us. 538 has Sporting at 61% to just make the playoffs, 52% to win that play-in game, to make it to what they're calling officially the first round. What are your thoughts on Sporting's playoff chances?
Well, the only reason that Seattle with their inconsistent play, LAFC with their drop in form recently, and Sporting Kansas City with their mediocre play are even in the talk of Sporting making the playoffs and Seattle and LAFC possibly still winning the division is that this division, this Western Conference, is weak as far as point totals. You compare it to the East, it's just not the same. So that's the only reason that Sporting is at a 61%. That's the only reason they're at a 52% chance to make round one. Otherwise, they'd be dead now. But here's the facts as far as the games in hand. Any team in the West, and I'm not saying this is going to happen because obviously they're at the bottom of the table for a reason, but any team in the West, say for Colorado, if they win their games in hand, they will leapfrog over Sporting. So, you got to look at it both ways. But again, this conference has been weak this year, and that's the only reason Sporting still has a shot.
Thad, what are your thoughts on Sporting's playoff chances?
They're fair. I mean, I think the percent chances that was given there are relatively decent. Sporting shot themselves throughout the first 10 games, shot themselves at the last 2 home games, or the 2 home games where they lost. And if they'd have won those 2, they would be pretty good percent chance. I mean, they would be in a very good spot despite the game in hand for everybody else. If they can continue to get some results. The Houston game is disappointing, but if you'd said 2 weeks ago that you're going to go to Houston and draw, Houston's a team that was 7-1-1 at home and had only given up 3 goals. Sporting went in there and scored 2 on them. And, it's a tough place to play, which is kind of amazing to say that considering that only a third of the fans show up. But it's still a tough place to play. And going there and getting a result, you would have been okay with it. The only reason we're questioning that is a good result is because they surrendered the lead twice. But they are the only, they've scored 2 of the 5 total goals in league play at Houston this year in 10 games. So that's not a bad result. So if they can just keep up that, it's those games at home. They have to come in and play at home. If they win those games at home, they're in the playoffs. We got something to talk about for the postseason.
We can debate, and I'm sorry, Chad probably will, but the playoff structure. But there's going to be 8 teams in the playoffs no matter what, because it just works that way as far as the playoffs go, and extra money for those teams, etc. So there's 9. But should a team that's won 6 in 25 even have a sniff of the playoffs right now? No, they don't. Here's the other crux, though. We have 7 draws. last night, for example, many other examples. If we had turned any, 2 or 3 of those into wins, we'd be justified, let's say.
It's always going to be that argument, man. And this is American sports, so there's going to be a lot of teams in playoffs. The NBA, the NHL are like that. NFL, I'm not sure how many they have in there anymore, but
6.
It's more than 6 or 6 on each side.
6 on each side.
So it's just American sports, and I'm okay with that. It's part of what we've grown up watching for a lot of different sports, and that's. I don't want to get all like, oh, they don't really deserve to make the playoffs because they're a team. It's just what it is.
No,
and
I agree.
And as the size of the league is growing to, almost 30 teams, you want more teams in the playoffs to have more interest for more teams.
Right.
If you're a truly terrible team, then you're sitting down there in 12th spot and you go home and people mock you, and that's fine. They mock you long enough, you might actually improve, Cincinnati. And that's why I also don't get caught up in pro well. I've watched teams battle just to make the 9th spot.
Right.
If you're in EPL and you're safely in 12th spot, man, nobody cares. You don't get fired. You don't get hired. You don't lose anything. You don't gain anything. You just sit there and coast. You're not making Europe. You're not doing this. You're not getting relegated. It's the exact same thing that everybody complains about bottom teams in MLS. They know they're out of the playoffs. Who cares? It's the same thing. It's just at a slightly different spot in the table.
But 6 wins in 25, guys. Come on. Come on.
Well, if we take out how bad the first 10 games were, it's 6 and 15.
Right.
So that's not terrible. I mean, whatever. The thing about Sporting's run in to the playoffs or potential playoffs is Sporting controls their own destiny. All these other teams have games in hand, and that's fine. You have to actually win those. There's so many times where Sporting, and I want to say it was like the 2017 season, somewhere in there, that like post Cup era, where Sporting had like 4 games in hand on somebody. And I was like, oh, well, if we just win all 4, we're going to be in first place in the West. And we duffed it. It's not a guarantee that you win. And especially in this league where like last night, LA beat the pants off of the Philadelphia Union. And the Galaxy are terrible. And the Union are objectively one of the best teams in the league. And you just get weird results.
But the Galaxy are improving, though.
Yes, they are.
They are, but they still suck. But looking at Sporting's run-in, we have Salt Lake at home, Austin on the road, San Jose at home. Those are all teams that are playoff teams, but they're in the lower quadrant of the playoffs. They're in the 4, 5, and 7 spots. You've got 2 against St. Louis, they're in the league, and I'm not going to say anything nice about them. And I refuse to acknowledge that where they stand on the table. But St. Louis and Nashville are the only 2 really good teams that Sporting has left. They've got 2 against St. Louis, 1 against Nashville, but then they've got matches against Minnesota, who's outside the playoffs, Miami, who's the worst team in the league, or at least the worst team in the East. Sporting has a chance to claw their way back in if they can get results against these teams that are kind of in direct competition with them for those lower playoff spots. They're not gonna get a home playoff game. They're not gonna finish the season in 3rd, but they can make it and then maybe do some damage if everybody's healthy.
If everybody's healthy.
Famous last words, man.
All right. Well, I want to talk, speaking of people who are not always healthy, I want to talk about Alan Pulido. Robert, we've discussed this on the pod already about, what we should do with Pulido. He's got interest. He can sign a pre-contract. Sporting's talked about re-signing him, and I have been on the record that I don't want to re-sign an aging, injury-prone striker. But I have a feeling that I'm going to have to eat those words because he is scorching hot. Robert, what are your thoughts on Pulido's form right now?
Tell you what, I mean, we've known this, and even during all the times that he was injured and people were frustrated with him, we know that when he's on the field, he's going to produce. And he's doing that now. Him and Gadi's connection, Peter addressed that in the post-match conference. Strong. So, I mean, the thing with me is if he doesn't want to be here, which there are, thoughts that he doesn't, from kind of what we're hearing, but that may be all Mexican team fluff. But if he doesn't want to be here, then yeah, I don't want him here. But if he does and we can re-sign him, I'm fine with that.
Thad?
I'm quite good with re-signing him. Maybe not super long term, but that's got to be part of the negotiation. I want to say, because I always hate he's injury prone. He's had one big injury since he's been here. I mean, obviously one big injury. I don't think he was very injury prone before he came here. And a lot of that time when he was not necessarily in form was he actually had that injury, but they had not done the surgery on it yet. So,
well, I mean, he's had other injuries though, right? I mean, didn't he get his foot all chewed up while he was playing for the Mexican national team?
That's where it started, yeah.
But I don't think he had long periods out.
So, I mean, if Sporting KC re-signs him, we're talking about at least 3 years, right? It's going to be 2 guaranteed and an option year. I mean, is there a world in which he signs for less than that?
Probably not.
No, I would say 2 minimum. Yeah.
It would also depend on money. I mean, if he could go to somewhere else and make more money for 2, then he would sign for 2. I mean, there's a lot of complicating factors to that. And I do know that he loves Chivas. I mean, he lives and breathes Chivas. But they're also the ones who screwed him on his contract and didn't pay him. So there's 2 sides to that.
Well, and that's why I don't know. I mean, I think Sporting, if they want to re-sign him, is going to have to make a really substantial financial investment. And I don't say this with any sort of, negative connotation towards Pulido, but I don't think he loves the club in the way that, like you mentioned, that he loves Chivas, right? Or like with Zusi.
Loves the club, though. I do think he loves the club. I think a lot of fans say, "Oh, he loves Chivas, so he doesn't care about Sporting." What I see from him is he does love Sporting. I'm not going to say he loves it more in Chivas. I think that would be foolish for me to even insinuate that. But I do not see any indication that he does not care about Sporting. I mean, he does.
And I don't mean to suggest that he doesn't. But I've
heard people saying that though, like, "Oh, he just wants out of here." Like, if
Right.
there's, and I'm sorry for interrupting you, David.
No, you're fine.
There's so many factors. He does love Chivas. He has aspirations of getting back on the national team, and if their coaching staff indicates that he needs to be in Mexico to do that, then that's where he's going to end up, regardless of what we want or care about. I don't know. I think when he came up here, it was an opportunity to do something better and be seen by larger places, because he's probably not going to be seen as much as he was down there. But it was also more likely, or it was not unlikely, that he would still be able to go to the national team, because he did when he was in MLS. But if the coaching staff now which they're a dumpster fire also, but if they're indicating in any way, shape, or form that he needs to be in Mexico, then that's where he's going to be.
Yeah, but doesn't he want to play in the league that Messi is in? Come on.
Stop. This podcast has spent too much time talking about the second best soccer player of all time coming to the league. He doesn't even have a contract.
Next week, man. Next week.
And somehow.
Okay, we're recording this on the 9th, and I think by the time half the people listen to this, that might have changed.
And somehow all these rumors about Miami signing all of these Barcelona players. For a team that has already cheated their way to 5 DPs, I don't know how they're going to get Jordi Alba and is it Busquets
yeah,
and Messi and the 3 DPs they've already got. And it's ridiculous. They're talking about trying to get Suarez too. Like, there's no possible way. I don't think Messi's coming. That's my conspiracy theory. I don't think it's going to happen.
Oh, it's happening. But all the other stuff, I have no idea.
I'm allowed to have my conspiracy theories that have no basis in reality. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Good deal.
All right.
Moving on.
Thank you, Robert. Okay, let's move on. We've got a midweek Wednesday night, and there's something more important than the match between Sporting and Salt Lake. But I want to talk about Sporting and Salt Lake first. Thad, give us a rundown on RSL.
Gotta hate him.
Robert, give us a rundown on RSL.
7 in a row without a loss, RSL. They just got a Poku from LAFC. I don't know if he's going to play come Wednesday night. But, yeah, they're kind of scary, guys.
Poku went to Montreal.
You're right. He did. My fault. They got somebody else. Who's the forward RSL got? They got somebody. But, yes, thanks for correcting me.
Yeah, this is good content.
Well, I'll keep looking it up. But they got Chicho Arango.
There we go.
They signed Chicho Arango, who had been at LAFC and then had gotten transferred to.
So you can see my confusion there, my little slip up. Forgive me.
Yes,
that's
Cody
right.
gets the fine.
At some,
and he made an
that's
impact.
Right. All fines today go. All fines go to Cody. Yeah, RSL just coming off beating the ever-living snot out of Orlando 4-0. Arango got a goal. Justin Glad got a goal. Savarino and Anderson Juliao got a goal. They're playing all right. I mean, they're still middle of the table. But like you said, Robert, 7 games unbeaten. It's not going to be an easy match.
It's perfect time to take them down, though, I think.
All right.
Sporting has been known to do that.
Yeah, our home form isn't amazing.
In the past, yeah.
That's the problem, is our home form is not amazing. In fact, it's been dreadfully bad.
Okay, we beat the Cavs 3-0 last time at home. Come on.
And they look good doing it. And
yeah.
Again, in fairness, in Houston, they looked good for good chunks of the time. Once they got the lead, though, they kind of didn't do as much.
I want to wrap this up because I want to talk about the most important thing that will happen on Wednesday.
8 minutes of fabulous soccer.
Media game.
It's going to be crazy. David, I wish you were out there, man.
I wish I had gotten invited to be out there too.
Are you going to be there?
Yes, I will be in the stands rooting you guys all on.
You're not going to boo anybody that comes on the pitch?
No, I'm booing all of you. I'm booing. Okay. I'm booing Chad. I'm booing Cody. But no.
Wait. In our chat, you said that Cody's going to get a brace, and you're going to boo him.
Of course. Of course. I have loyalty to my guys in our section 137.
131?
Whatever section we're in. Like Thad never sits in our section because he's always on the field shooting. But Mrs. Thad and Robert and I all sit in the same section at the stadium. And so I have to have loyalty to my crew, my season ticket crew.
Appreciate that.
So my wife will not be there.
She won't be there to root you on?
No.
Why?
She had a prior commitment that she was already doing long before she knew about this.
So
however, my
daughter neither, or will she be there?
I think my daughter will be there.
Oh, okay.
She actually requested off work just so she could be there to, as she said, in case you die, somebody needs to be able to tell mom.
Now, didn't last year she would have come on the pod and do some commentary about the media game?
Oh, if I pre-warn her, maybe she will this time.
I will have full thoughts. We will have a full segment where I break down the media game, because I am so excited to watch you guys go out there and run around.
Get a life, David.
I'm not running.
Yeah, you run every year. What's changed?
I amble.
Okay, well, I'll watch you amble around the pitch.
And every year I say that it's probably my last one. So,
well, if you want to give up your spot, I'll
it's
stretch
not,
and make
sure I'm
my
game
spot
ready. To give. It's them inviting you.
You have pull. You can make something happen. I'll be ready as a halftime sub. You play 4 minutes and then I'll sub in.
I can see David leaping out of the stands onto the field,
getting tackled. Yeah, it'll be great.
All right.
With a bunch of yellow vest guys chasing him.
Yeah, that's right. I'm looking for the rosters, but who's on your team?
Man, I forget. I was actually just looking for the roster also.
Jimmy Mack is on our side.
Yeah, Sperry.
Yeah.
Let's see. On the other team, Chad is on the other team. I did find out why he was the only person from Kansas City Soccer Journals on the other team is because we'd played last year and got one jersey. So they tried to take everybody who had played and got that jersey, move them to the other side so they would get a different jersey. So we were getting the hoops. because last year we got the state line, pseudo state line obscura top, whatever that was.
State line 3.
Yeah.
So are either of you guys gonna man mark Chad just to like keep him totally out of the game?
Is that necessary?
I don't know. Yeah, look, we're doing it for the content right now. We're doing it for the banter.
No.
Will you talk shit to him on the pitch?
I talk shit to everybody on the pitch. I don't talk shit before the game. I don't like brag like, oh, we're gonna win this thing 17-0 or anything. But when you're on the field, man, I will be talking. I will, if you are within arm's reach of me, you will get a shove. You may get a kidney punch.
Okay.
You may get a knee. I don't give a shit if you're in media or if you're fucking messy. You're gonna get, if I have the ability to do it, you will at least catch a. I want you to go home with a bruise.
So I'm looking at the rosters. I found.
Yeah, you want me to run it down or no?
Well, so most of these people I've never heard of.
Okay. Todd Palmer, you've heard of. Aaron Ladd.
I don't know who those people are.
Okay.
Aaron Ladd's a good dude. I don't know
Cody
what station
Tapp.
he's with.
I don't know who that is either.
Okay.
See,
you know Marcus Officer is? He's on the other side.
I don't know who that is either.
Okay. Jillian Carroll. You know who Jillian is?
I do not know who that is.
Oh my God. Okay.
I know Dan Kuzer. I know Dan on the other
Walker?
team on Sporting Indigo. I know Dan Kuzer and Chad Smith. And if you don't get a red card tackle on either one of them, I will be disappointed.
So you know Dave Borkert and Todd Lebo.
Yeah, I do know who those two are. Yes.
Okay. All right.
But I am unfamiliar with most of these people. Do these people all cover the team?
Yeah.
Apparently more than you do, David. I don't know.
Wow. First of all, I will have you know
Hey, I said
my
apparently.
recaps are
man.
beloved by our readers. People by the way, go to the KansasCitySoccerJournal.com and read our content. Thank you very much. But people love my recaps. I will have you know. Who are all these people?
Okay, well, let's see. Going down that list, Alex Gold, Cody Tapper with 610 Sports Radio. Not that I ever listened to it, but I know it's like at least somewhat legitimate media.
Sure.
Jimmy Mack with us and with a pod. Sperry with the Star. Me, Cody, Robert. I think we're at least somewhat legitimate. Dude from KCTV5. I don't know him. CanBC. I don't know that guy. I don't. KPRS FM. What the hell is that? I mean, it's a radio station.
Okay, let me ask you this: how many of the people in this media game would you see in the press box or in a press conference?
Okay, ever?
Like in this season, how many of these people have you seen in the press box or in a press conference?
Just running down. I'm going to run down the list because I'm trying to be fair about this. Jimmy, Sperry, me, Cody, Robert, Todd Palmer, Aaron Ladd. He's routinely out at pressers and at practice. Walfrey Rodas, I'm not sure how you say his name, so I apologize. Really nice guy. He's a photographer and does writing for a Spanish outlet. Emily Infante. If that's the Emily, I think it is. She's been out there with what says Reyes Medias Group and TUDN. I don't know that dude. Marcus Officer. I've seen him at some of the bigger stuff, but usually not. But Harold Kuntz, he's like routinely out there for practices and pressers. I've never seen Dan Kuzer before. Don't know who he is. Chad.
Jimmy Max. I know you're
Jillian, she's on KCTV5, but she's also done play-by-play and stuff like that for various different soccer things as one of the KC Current broadcast team right now. Peyton
she used
Headley.
To work for the club?
Yeah. Peyton Headley, I know I've seen her at something, but I think that was for the Current. Let's see, Carlos and Edwin from Arkansas. I know I've talked to at least one of those guys at Sporting. 810 guys, Dave Borchert, he's one of their media people. Todd Lebo's been out at some stuff. Aiden Manzano, he's out there all the time. Like he's one of the routine guys that's out there with me and Sperry. He's a good guy. And the other ones I don't know by name.
No, Nate and Allie. I guess they're on
Maybe
TV elsewhere, but
maybe it's Eleanor that's out there with Aiden. But I thought it was Emily, but maybe it's Eleanor.
So David, you should apply to be the referee. You know,
oh my God, I would have.
Could be Hetzel. I don't know. It was Beasler for the current media game. I don't know who it's going to be.
I would have so much fun with that. and I would die to have people just rip me to shreds for all the bad calls I'd make, given my opinion about referees. I think
the key in the media game is to not make calls.
Yeah, right. Well, that's exactly what happens when you
gotta let the chaos happen.
when you go double leg to the knees of Chad, that's when I just leave the card in the pocket. When Thad Rugby tackles Dan Kuzer, card stays in the pocket.
I don't know what it looks like.
When Sperry gets his goal, offside.
No, because that's our team.
That's right. I have to root for your team. Thad, where are you going to set up? Are you going to play defense again?
Typically, yeah.
Robert, outside back, winger, full
I usually play that midfield link between the backs and the forwards because I figure how in the hell else is the ball going to get forward for our team? So
you're going to be a shuttler. You're going to play the shuttler role.
Yeah.
And that's always the weird thing is like some people who have actually played soccer try to like mentally put the team together, and then the other one's like, it's 5-year-old herd ball.
I love it. I can't wait. I'm going to need 15 minutes on the next pod to just break down the media game.
Hopefully you have 15 minutes worthy of content to do that.
Oh, I can talk about that media game for double the amount of time that you will have played. I can't wait. How many goals are you guys going to set up Cody for any goals?
As on our team, we're going to try to score goals. Say, David, if the opportunity is there, yeah.
Well, Thad, I'm just wondering, like, are you going to practice your long balls over the top and go just like route one and let Cody run in behind?
No. If I practiced any long balls, my knee would not be able. I would not be able to even go out on the field by that time.
Robert, my knee is that bad. Through balls? Are you practicing through balls?
Hey, I play Friday nights. I don't need to practice. Thank you very much.
First of all, I think you do, but I've watched you play in the media game. I think you do.
You weren't watching very closely last year. The current media game, you guys were like, "Oh, you did this one thing, and then you disappeared the whole game." I'm like, I took 2 corners and I served up 2 balls that should have been assists. What are you talking about?
But did they get converted?
Well, no, because I can't help it if somebody falls over themselves at the back post.
but of course, he's not here. But of the people who've played in a media game recently, of you guys and Cody, who scored?
Well, Cody, but he was offside. I mean, come on.
He most certainly was not. We did the trigonometry.
He most certainly was. I was closest one besides Chad. Chad was closer to him,
Chad kept him on.
No, I had a good angle, and again, I checked with people upstairs who know soccer better than any of us, and they confirmed that he was offside.
It still counted. There was no VAR.
I can't help.
Cody's on our team. We're all pro Cody.
I've got money on Cody scoring a brace. He said it was too much pressure, but pressure makes diamonds. So I'm here for Cody.
Well, you remember a couple years ago when they did the shootout version, like the old style shootout.
Oh yeah.
He was like talking shit that he was like going to score on me and stuff. So I just like kept telling him, "Yep, you're going to score on me, man. I'm old. You can do this," and all that stuff. And so the pressure was so much on him that he basically blasted it right in. Well, excuse me, blasted it is probably not a good term. He
gently kicked it,
poked it into me slowly, and I blocked it.
All right, guys. Well,
so yes, he is susceptible to pressure.
There you go, Robert.
Yes, David.
Say something prophetic.
Sporting will win Wednesday night 2-1. We will win the media game 3-0.
Go Sporting.
Woo!
It's Saturday and the game is on. 10 minutes in, it's 3-0. I'm sipping back an empty can. I don't give a damn if it's 9 a.m. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me gin. Anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking. Just been sent off. Supporters strong have all gone soft. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin. Anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking.